Okay, so welcome back to the Better Podcast with Dr. Stephanie. And today, people a little bit of context in terms of how far you've come. When we think about mindset coaches, and when we think about people who are inspirational and transformational leaders, those aren't often check boxes on the high school like doctor, lawyer, pilot, transformational coach. So I would love for you to maybe share some of your story, and particularly, I would be really interested to know where in your life you can first attribute, one of your successes to your mindset.
Hmm. Good question. Um, my journey to get here was I really I needed to rescue my own life. To be quite honest with you, it wasn't about I want to grow up and be a transformational coach. No, it was I need to rescue me. So that was first and foremost.
Right.
Uh, my qualification is I learned how to turn my mess into a mountain of possibility. Um, and I remember my first thought around wanting to do something was, how do I give myself the future I know I deserve? And I also was tired of hearing people say, you have potential. I wanted to,
Mm.
I wanted to meet. Like, excuse me, can I wake up tomorrow and meet this thing that you guys keep talking about called potential? And so I went on a hunt. I didn't want anyone else to say and talk about who I could become. I wanted to see her and meet her. And so I was literally on this quest. And I remember I was 29, and when it just kind of, I was like, hold on, I can only take myself as far as I can take myself based on what I know. I need to go no more. And honestly, before then, I hadn't read a lot of books. I wasn't a reader because I'm functionally dyslexic. Reading was difficult to me. For me, it was painful. But I started reading books very slowly. I don't think I finished a book in the next 3 years. I don't think I finished one, but I would jump around in them. And I go, oh, that's good. I'm going to try that out. Oh, that's good. And then I started going, oh, I think these people might meet up in places. I never heard about a conference. I grew up with school and church. That was
Mm-hmm.
it. School and church. There was no conference. Like, who goes to conferences? And so I went to this meeting. A friend of mine said, I think you might want to go to this meeting. They're talking about entrepreneurs. I think that's what you want to be. I go to this meeting. I'm the only woman in the room. I'm the only person of color in the room. There's all older white men and myself. And I saw the video and I was like, that looks good. It looks like they're dreaming there. And everyone looks like they're trying to make something that they don't have. That's me. And I remember telling the guy, hey, I want to go there. Are women and people of color welcome? He was like, absolutely. And so fast forward 9 years later, I was the key person on their videos, of course, because he wanted to let everyone else know. And so I just started doing things I'd never done before. I was willing to have an unfamiliar life. See, most people want something new, but they want to keep things familiar. I was okay. I was bankrupt. The day I ran out of money and had to wrap Jelani in a towel for 2 days because
Yeah.
I didn't have money to buy Pampers for him, I was done. Stephanie, at that point, I said, I'm willing to do whatever and undo whatever. And so my pursuit to transformation didn't necessarily come with, I want to change the world the way a lot of people's it comes these days. Mine came with, I want to change my life. And then after I got my oxygen and I realized, Jelani, we're okay. I think we're okay. Matter of fact, I think we're more than okay. Then I went, oh, if it worked for me, maybe I should show a few other people how to do it. Literally, maybe I should just show a few other people how to do it. And that's how it started.
One of the things I love about you, I've been reading up on you, consuming your content, and you talk about, when you were in line in the food, getting in line to get it food stamps for you and Jelani. And one of the powerful things I think you've done, and maybe you can touch on this a little bit, is you redefine, you know, someone might say, being in a line getting food stamps, that's shameful, you failed, this is like a evidence that you are not worthy. But I think the way that you decided to look at it in that moment, or maybe when you were reflecting later on, is that it's actually one of the most courageous things that you can do, to
Yeah.
stand in that line and say, you know what, I am here before you and I'm asking for help.
Yeah. I knew I loved myself. I said, I love me enough to give me what I need. And
Hmm.
what I need right now is help.
Yeah.
So that I learned that early on, that asking for support is a form of self-care. Like that's your responsibility to your breathtaking future, is to
Mm.
get the help you need right now so you can get to your breathtaking future. And so I was in that line full of gratitude. Yes, I did have some shame. I was other people were helping me feed my child.
They were facilitating the shame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me be clear. However, I knew that my now did not equal my next. My now was a setup. And I always, when I was in the line getting government assistance, I remember asking the woman, "Can you look at me?" She said, "No, no, no, I'm busy. Hurry up." I said, "No, I need you to look at me." And she said, "Ma'am, I need you to hurry up." And I hit the table and I said,
Hmm.
"I need you to see my eyes."
Yeah.
She looked up at me startled. And I said, "I want you to know that I'm a good investment of your help." Now she's giving me food stamps. And I said, "I won't be here forever. I kid you not." I was 9 months pregnant with Jelani, 8 months pregnant. And I said, "Remember my name, Lisa Nichols, because I'm going to make this help worthwhile for you." And she just sat there frozen. She was like, "Okay." And I often think about that social worker, and I wonder if she noticed who she was helping that day, or
Mhm.
who, what her help did. Because that day I was Lisa, and today I'm Lisa. I'm just Lisa who have done something with that support. And so I look at everywhere you are, use it as a segue. And if anyone knows what I'm talking about, I can't see your faces, but type your name in chat if you know. I'm real big on that. Like, just raise your hand. Be happy with going, "This is me, and I am in my best season ever." Yeah, it's riddled with some challenges. Yeah, I got to make some hard decisions. Yeah, I got some people that are difficult to love, but I'm perfect for such a time as this. Like, this is who I am, and this is not where I'll stay. And even when you're in somewhere amazing, I have my friends who have multi-million-dollar businesses. We live this lifestyle, and I go, "Hold on, you got to invest in your now, so
Mm.
that your amazing ascends." So yeah, it was a conscious decision, Stephanie. I was very clear, Giovanni, um, that it was my birthright to have abundance. I didn't care what my bank account said. It was my birthright to have abundance. I didn't care that I was single. My birthright said that I'm abundantly for love. I was over 200 pounds. My birthright said I get to be healthy. So even though there was no physical evidence at the time,
Mhm.
it didn't change what I knew to be so, which is why in The Secret, you hear me say, "I know, like I know, like I know, like I know." Because at the time,
Yeah.
all I could know is what was in my heart, my mind.
Can I get a yes, yes?
Yes, yes,
Can I get a yes, yes?
right.
I wanted to just kind of expanding on that. Let's talk about your weight loss, because I was reading Abundance Now when you were talking about, you know, wanting to lose the weight, doing all of the things like buying the clothes, getting the pantry cleaned out, all the good food, and telling people about the goal, trying to manifest it, and then not necessarily making the progress that you wanted. And I think that I can relate to that. I think we all can relate to that story. We've all been there. Like, I have,
Yeah.
books on Portuguese that are just sitting collecting dust in there's always been a goal that I've wanted to start that I haven't necessarily followed through on. What was the needle mover for you? What was the thing that made you move forward in being able to shed those 70 pounds?
Yes. Um, so first of all, I want to say hello to everyone that's going crazy in chat. I see your names popping up, Angelique, Chantal, and so many other people. So hello, hello, hello. I see you saying yes, yes. So thank you so much for the love. Um, so what was the catalyst to me releasing the now 88 pounds?
Mm-hmm.
Um, was first of all, I always say that health and fitness is as much emotional as it is physical. And what I kept addressing was the physical. I kept addressing the behaviors and the lifestyle, and in my head, that was the solution. While behavior and lifestyle, what you put in your body is very key. Obviously, how much you're in physical activity is very key. There's an emotional component that was rarely addressed in my journey. And I believe it's rarely addressed in anyone's journey. That is, why did I put the jacket on in the first place? So I call it my jacket because it covered the real me. But why did I put it on in the first place? I was a 13-year athlete. I swam competition. I did synchronized swimming. I was a track runner. I was a state champion. I held the 330 low hurdle record at my high school for 18 years. So the bigger question was, why did I put the jacket of 88 pounds on? And when I began to search into that and I began to look at that, that was more difficult than, eating a high protein, high vegetable diet. That was me having to address that in my 20s, I bought into the subscription that the door called love had to be entered through the room called love had to be entered through the door called sex. And with this amazing body, I had like a Serena Williams body, very thick, very healthy, I didn't have the emotional awareness and literacy to go, I know, right, I see the chats. I didn't have the emotional healthiness to go, wait a minute. I don't have to seek love in the arms of a man. I don't have to seek my validation in the arms of a man. Let me first validate me. I don't have to seek my completion in the arms of a man. 2 and 2 does not complete each other. Please complete yourself and I'll complete myself. And then let's allow our completion to complement one another. Like I didn't get that. And so I was looking for someone to complete me. And in doing that, that there's that romantic thing that occurs initially and it didn't end up happily ever after like it does in the movies, and so I began to draw in because of that. And then I'd walk into a room. The other thing was I walk into a room with my light. I've had this light since I was 5 years old. I have a picture of me, with my Lisa light. And I noticed that women would contract because I had the light and the body. And when I was around their partners, their men, I could see a look of caution. And so I had these two things going on. My relationship with men felt like it was being disrupted because of this body. My relationship with women felt like it was being prevented because of this body and this personality. And so I'm just telling you what no one really says out loud. I began to put this jacket on because when I became this Mother Earth image, over 200 pounds, all of a sudden people saw my personality more. And women felt safer in my presence. But at the end of the day, I wanted to be loved for me and I wanted to have friends. And it wasn't until I can love me enough, pour into Lisa enough, affirm Lisa enough to say, hold on, I'm enough. I'm enough woman. I'm smart enough. I'm loving enough. Then I could say, now I'm ready to take the jacket off. And it happened to take me 19 years.
I love that. That's such a I think that, we're doing this podcast with a bit of an audience, and I think that that's really resonating with the people that are listening in here. And let's dive a little bit deeper into that, because you said, first I have to validate myself. First I had to love myself first. If we think about, if that's a goal that somebody has, if the goal that they have is loving themselves or feeling worthy, these feelings of validation are coming from within, are there frameworks that you follow in terms of setting a goal? And, how often do you kind of revisit these goals? Is it a yearly thing, a quarterly thing, daily thing? How do you sort of download the goal that you want? You visualize the goal that you want and you say, okay, how am I going to execute this? What are the frameworks or tactics that you use to set a goal like such a lofty one, like validating yourself?
Right. So thank you, Sherry. So first of all, if there's anyone, just to let me know I'm not alone. I love community. Y'all know I love community. So if anyone here is with us and you can relate to what I'm saying, I like this word called Yana, Y-A-N-A. Yana, Y-A-N-A. And Stephanie, what it means. You are not alone. It means, Lisa, you are not alone. So Yana. So y'all Yana me as much as you can. So I know that we're in this together. And if I say something that disrupts your soul and you needed to hear it, say B-O-L, breakthrough out loud. I like to just have this dialogue. I love it. I love it. I love the Yanas coming in already. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yes, Yana.
What I do to really set a goal in place is I'm real big on visualizations, really big. And so I first see myself there already. But beyond seeing myself, Stephanie, I feel myself there. So
Mm.
I feel like a vision helps you see what you want to get, but the feeling is the turbo boost. So I don't want to just see it. I want to feel it. What does it feel like I used to visualize to the point where I got tearful what it felt like to be one of my son's top 5 best friends.
Mm.
And I did it when he was 7. And I would just sit and I would just go, okay, yes. And I would just allow myself, I wouldn't stop. I'd have the feeling. So 2 days ago, when my son and I are laying across the bed, we both had just finished a big thing. I just taught another speaker's mastermind, like the one that our friend JJ Version attended. And my son was the culinary coordinator for it because he's a chef. And he cooked for 58 people for 5 days. And I taught 58 people for 5 days. And so we were so tired and we were both out on the bed. And we were laying across the bed and he turned over on his side and he said, I really love hanging out with you, Mom. And I had already seen this moment. I had already seen this 15 years ago. And I thought, whoa, this is the evidence. This is it. And I teared up and he leaned forward and literally wiped my tears off my face.
Bless.
And so the first thing I did was I saw what happened 2 days ago. I saw it back then. I let myself feel it back then. But you have to open up, and I really want you to get this because this is so important, Giovanni and Stephanie and everyone listening. You have to be willing to open up a part of your emotion to it. That part that we protect from wanting just in case it doesn't happen. No, 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 no. All in. You got to let yourself, you got to feel the desire of how good it feels to be in passionate love. You got to let the butterfly in your belly leap for him or her before they arrive. You got to feel the joy of having financial abundance and being a good steward of it. You got to see the things that you would use your money to buy, the good you do in the world, and feel the joy that came with it. You got to see yourself giving to the women in battered shelters and the children in different, you got to see yourself and let yourself feel it. Give yourself permission to feel what it's like to be there before you ever start. Most people don't. You protect yourself from the feeling just in case it doesn't work.
Plan B.
You only let half yourself want it. You only make half of yourself available. So if you don't give it 100, why would it give you 100? And so give it 100. People say, Steve Harvey said, how did you do this? What happened? How did you go from welfare to Wall Street? I said, I didn't have a plan B. I had plan A1, plan A2, plan A3, plan A4, but it was always, Giovanni, plan A.
I think that is probably the thing that people most get wrong about The Secret. So you were featured on The Secret. You're one of the teachers of The Secret.
About to say it.
Yeah. You talk about visualization. What are some of the things, like, just expand on that a little bit. What are some of the things you think people get wrong about their, interpretation of The Secret in terms of visualization and execution?
Number one is that they can just sit down and visualize like for the next 20 years. Like, hello, all you're going to get is a big dent in your couch.
Yeah.
Did you get up? It took us 51 minutes just to open your mind. In the 52nd minute, if it were a part 2, it would be, now let's get up. Let's make a strategy. Let's get into radical action. Joan Baez says that action is the antidote for despair. Lisa Nichols adds that action is the prescription for success. How is it that one verb, the same verb, can be the solution to your problem and the access to your dreams? One word, action. And once you get in action, as you're in action, make a strategy. Because if you're out there doing what I call Braille-based visualizing, it's like, hello, wait, set a strategy up. And that's what people do. Like, I want some of this, I want some of this, I want some of this.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's get clear. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What does it look like with great clarity? What's your financial bank account look like? What's the balance in it? Now, what are the revenue streams that created that balance? You know, how many days a week did you work to get that balance? Were you with a partner to get that balance? Where are you living? How did you get there? Well, who are you involved with romantically? And are you open to them? Do you have a friendship? What does that friendship look like? And once you get all of that in place through your visualization, now reverse engineer what you got to do to get there. First, literally set your GPS and spend time seeing it and feeling it. And then go back and go, now, what's the strategy to get there? Because now it's not unfamiliar. Now you're running after a taste that you've already had in your mouth, right? Pavlov theory, ring the bell and you salivate for your own life, right?
Oh my God, so good.
and then have someone hold you accountable. Gladiators don't have anyone holding them accountable. And we actually get a little offended if someone holds us accountable. No, please listen to my dream. See my visualization, and don't let me off the hook. Get this, of the woman I'm becoming, of the man you're becoming. And you got to watch out, because the bigger your bio, the less people will hold you accountable to who you are becoming, because who you've been is so big. Please don't be overly impressed by who I've been. That's so 08. Please hold me accountable to who I'm becoming. Like, I'm committed. So those are the things I do. 1, get in action. 2, set a clear vision. 3, reverse engineer the strategy. 4, get someone to hold you accountable. And 3, check in consistently to make sure that you haven't outlived your dream. I looked up 5 years ago and I had outlived my dream, Stephanie. I didn't see 7 bestsellers. I didn't see 56 million people, over 56 million people touched a year. I didn't see Bulgaria. I didn't see Slovenia. I didn't see Croatia. I didn't see Ireland. I didn't see Phuket. I didn't see all these. I didn't even study geography. like I skipped the class, so I didn't even know about these places, right? And so 5 years ago, I couldn't dream. I literally was like, whoa. I've outdone my dream. That was scary for me. And that's when I started going, I just got on my knees. I got on my knees every day. God, what's my next season? What's my next season? I have to have a dream. I have to have something pulling me. I have to know where I'm going. I have to. And so I stayed on my face until I got it. And that's when it came up that you're going to teach teachers. That's when the speaker training was born, believe it or not. That's how it was born. I was on my face 5 years ago, November 26th. I'll never forget. You need to teach people how to share their message. Oh, and then I got excited all again, but I need something to pull me. Don't let me off the hook of this life.
And I got to say, in preparation for this interview, we were talking a little bit off camera before the podcast, before we started recording. And I was talking to JJ Virgin, I was talking to people, and I was like, what can you tell me about Lisa? And the one consistent thing they kept saying is, Lisa is the GOAT. She is the greatest of all time. GOAT. She's the GOAT speaker. And I've been consuming your video. And I have to tell you, when I'm watching your videos, I feel like you're talking to me. I know I'm watching a YouTube video where you were at A Fest or you were somewhere else. I'm like, she's talking to me. Like she knew. How did she? So what is it about being so you talked about, developing the speaker academy or the speaker training. What is it in order to be, to achieve the accolades and the type of transformational speaker that can move the needle for people? How does personal development factor into being a transformational speaker?
Can I just say, in the words of my niece, is everything. Like she says, Auntie, you are everything. It is everything. Listen, you can't take a 64 ounce, let's say 64 ounce. You can't take a 64 ounce dream and put it in a 24 ounce container called you. All day long. Sometimes your dreams are bigger than your capacity. Ooh, you got a 64 ounce dream, but you got 32 ounces of capacity of forgiveness. You got an 80 ounce dream, but you got a 40 ounce capacity of courage. Oh, baby. Right. Exactly, Giovanni. Exactly. Drink it up.
For those of you listening, Giovanni is drinking water now. If you can't.
Yes. So I'm a real big component, which is why I do the only 2 things I do in the world now: personal development to the depths of people's core,
Mm.
and speaker development to the height of your dream. Those two things. Because if you want to show up big, serve big, pray big, play big, stand big, fly big, then you need to expand your personal capacity around how you forgive you, how you embrace your childhood, how you release and stop holding hostage people who wronged you 20 years ago, how you can stand in your greatness with knees knocking and teeth chattering. How can you live in your duality, own your brilliance and own your chaos at the same time in the same minute? How can you share more of you to the world without being attached of their perception of you? How can you embrace the idea other people's perception of me ain't even none of my business? How can you do that? How can you create a life that's barely recognizable and live more in the unfamiliar, Stephanie, than you are ever living in the familiar? How can you wake up every morning and commit to the unfamiliar? Commit to the inconvenience. I tell people that your conviction and your convenience don't live on the same block.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
It's your degree of personal development. It's your degree. And I don't even want to say personal development because it sounds so packaged these days.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone says personal development. Everyone says human potential development. Really, when you look at doing the work, investing in you, it's waking up every day. Get this. And signing up again to be inconvenienced on behalf of your dream. Somebody gonna get that when we hang up. Y'all,
you need to rewind 15 seconds.
Right,
Listen to that again.
Hey, your life is in the last 15 seconds.
Yeah.
You can go get your life, go back 15 seconds.
Right? Yeah, you got it.
And
so sorry.
I'm a stand for people not getting attached to who they've been so that who they're becoming can be midwifed out.
Good God. So that can sound, I think that is, the prescription for living a good life, but that can be incredibly scary for people. I think, when you hear it, you have this emotional welling up and like, yes, I want that. And then when you start to move towards that goal, and I can, very personally, I can tell you that, I remember the first time I was getting up, I was speaking at Archangel. I had a 10-minute talk. I was in front of 1,500 people. I freaked out. So I wanted to maybe dive into your opinions and your thoughts around fear, and then what happens, maybe reframing the way we think about fear, and then maybe how we can move through that. Because the one, I'll tell you, I was over prepared for my 10-minute talk. I had it down to the tone. I knew when my tone was going up. I knew the pause between the word. I knew it all. But the moments before I got on stage, my mouth, it was like, I had no saliva. I was I wasn't talking. So what I did was I literally threw my hands up and I said, I've already won. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to help one person. And that was the thing. That was literally the only thing.
I thought you threw your arms up to dry your armpits.
Yeah, a little bit of that
too.
Too.
Sweaty, like,
a little bit of that. But that's the only thing that I could do was physical movement in that second to kind of move me forward.
Have a mind shift. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can speak to overcoming fear, reframing.
Yeah. Listen, I specialize today in primarily playing with people who are playing big in the world.
Yeah.
So I'm around people who are nervous all the time and afraid all the time. Because just because you decide to play big doesn't mean you've learned how to evict fear, right? Mm-hmm. So number one, I go back to what I said before. Your conviction and your convenience won't live on the same block. So don't look at fear as it's intrusive. Look at fear as, oh, you're the inconvenience that requires me to become convicted to do that thing I said I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. So we make these glory declarations, and then we seem surprised when we get nervous, feel betrayed, feel abandoned, feel alone, feel confused. Hello, when you grabbed a hold of that big dream, you just welcomed in all those feelings. You just said, hold on, goodbye comfort. I want to make a difference in the world. Okay, hello, nervous. Hello, afraid. Hello, lonely. From the moment you have the vision, because from the moment you have the vision, you start getting frustrated because no one else gets your vision. From the moment you have the vision, and here's what I know, if no one else gets your vision and no one else is supposed to get your vision, because God only gave your vision to you. You're the only one with your vision, and your job is to birth. No one knows what your baby look like. We cannot say while you're 6 months pregnant, that's a cute baby. We just gotta wait and hope it's a cute baby, right?
Yeah.
And so, but no one even tries to say it's a cute baby while you're still birthing it. And yet, like that, like a child, an unborn child, we want everyone to see and celebrate our vision while we're still birthing it. And by the way, you're not birthing it in year 1. Heck, you're birthing all the way up to year 6.
Yeah.
It can't just be born. It has to have some legs. It has to walk. It has to talk. It has to do something. A bank doesn't even consider you a real business until 5 years. And so it's the same thing with your vision coming out. And so when people say I'm afraid, I say, well, you the one chose to dream. Like, you act as if they weren't supposed to meet. When you say I'm going to dream, say, and I'm ready for the fear storm, and I'm ready for the lonely nights, and I'm ready for the early mornings, and I'm ready for the long time between the doorway and the window when the hallway feels like I've never gotten there. We're waiting to arrive. That hallway between your vision being born and it getting super easy and everyone that's a long hallway. That's a long hallway. And so, like, we're surprised. I'm gonna say, don't be surprised. Pull up your big boy pants. Pull up your big girl pants. Let's do this.
You mentioned year 6. We're actually in year 6 of Archangel, and
right.
I've spotted a pattern. I think you'll resonate with this because we do a lot of events, and I get to see every speaker before they go on stage, like Stephanie. And the pattern I've seen is that the ones who feel the most either anxiety or excitement or energy right before they go on stage are the ones who care the most. They're the ones who care the most about making the biggest difference in what they're about to do on stage. Does that resonate with you?
Absolutely. I think fear feeds you. So you, Stephanie, you said how to work with fear. I'm going to say change your relationship to fear.
Yeah.
Change your relationship. So don't try to pray it away, meditate it away, talk about it away, get it coached away. It's going to be there with you, because the bigger you play, the bigger your breakdowns can potentially be. And if you're not having breakdowns, oh, by the way, you're not playing big enough. And relate to breakdown differently. Breakdown is just a system that needs some tweaking that's informing you. That's it. And so when I look at the majority of the things I did in my life, I did them with some level of fear and trepidation. So here's the deal. Fear is sitting there with you, and fear is saying, I'm right here. And most people are waiting for the fear to dissipate before they go. I say, listen to fear. Does fear say you need to study more? You need to get a coach. You need to get help. You need to do some personal development. Fear is informing you of what you need to do. And so I always say, your life is like a car. Treat your life like it's a car, and you're in the car. And what we try to do is we try to kick everything out the car. Anxiety, you got to get out the car. Fear, you got to get out the car. Old behaviors, you got to get out the car. And I say, hold on. As long as you're in the car, all of your stuff is with you. Everything, your old behaviors, your fear of abandonment, your neediness, your unconscious sense of competition and comparing yourself to others. Just be okay with that and tell every behavior, including fear, okay, you get to come with me, but you just need to sit in the back seat. I'm going to drive.
And not be a backseat driver.
Right. And what happens is sometimes we let fear drive.
Yeah.
And so I think that one of the most freeing things I've done for myself is I let all of my humanity come with me, and not come with me silently, Giovanni. I talk about her. I laugh. I go, listen, I'm Lisa Nichols, but right between Lisa and Nichols is Shantae. Mm-hmm. And sometimes she's naughty, and I got to tell her, I need you to get in the back seat. Sometimes she gets fearful. You know, when someone leaves my company, or when a relationship ends, she jumps in. I go, hold on. I know you get nervous. Let Lisa Nichols drive. Mm-hmm. I've taught myself. And so different parts of yourself will drive, and all you have to do is go, hold on, you get to come with me, but you cannot drive. And I think what we do is we try to evict it out the car and then get upset to realize, oh, dang, it's still in the car with me. It's still on the journey, when it's always going to be on the journey as long as you're on it.
I love what you're saying. I say this in a slightly different way when I'm working with clients, and I talk about being the observer of the voice, but not necessarily the recipient of it. So you can hear the voice and thank, Shantae for her input, but at the end of the day, it's going to be you who makes the decision. So you can hear the voice, but you don't necessarily have to be the recipient of it.
Yep.
I love
Absolutely.
I love what you're saying. Do you think that information or the acquisition of information plays a role in helping to overcome fear?
Absolutely. But not just information. Information needs to move and become a cellular understanding,
Oof.
like not an intellectual pastime. So
Mm-hmm.
many people collect informations. We are information junkies. Like we go on Google for one thing and we end up in somebody else's life doing something, studying something, and they can't even remember what we started
That's
for.
me.
Right. There's so many people. Everyone, type your name in chat if that's you. Just type
Yeah.
out yourself. And so
Yeah.
we become information junkies. And so I learned when I was 21, I was just working on my spiritual relationship. And I had walked away from church a long time ago. And I was trying to find my way back to my spiritual awareness. And I encountered this minister and she told me the best thing ever. She said, "Oh, honey," and I'm 21 and I'm feisty, you guys. Ooh, I was just like, "Rrr," right? I was spicy. Heck, I'm spicy now. So you can imagine before it was all, cultivated. And I remember her saying, "Don't try to learn a lot of scriptures. Don't learn a lot of quotes. There are many people walking around quoting quotes, but they're not doing anything in their lives around it." She said, "Sweetheart, I want you to learn it and then live it before you ever learn the next one." She said, if you spend an entire lifetime and you've only learned 6 quotes, but you're living 6 quotes, you'll be a better human being than most. And I took her literal. I was like, okay. I studied one quote for 3 years. And I was okay with that, one scripture. And then I moved to another scripture. It didn't take me as long. I studied that one for 2 years. And literally until it became a part of my DNA. So I don't do intellectual learning. I do DNA learning. I want it to be in my cells. You don't have to think about when my right leg goes forward, the next thing I'm going to do is put my left leg forward. And that way I'm walking. You don't even think about it anymore, Stephanie. You don't think about it, Giovanni. I want my lifestyle. I want my up-leveled behaviors to think like that. I want forgiveness to come to me like that. I want compassion to come to me like that. I want taking my next breath in the midst of a storm to come to me like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all about learning, but I'm about thorough learning, 360 learning, cellular learning, DNA learning versus intellectual learning, collecting and then regurgitating a whole lot of data that I'm not living.
I love what you're saying because I think a lot of us are very cerebral, and in many ways our bodies are just like containers to walk around our brains with, right? They're just like holding the brain walking around, and we never actually integrate it from, the jaw down. So I love that cellular learning, the concept of cellular learning. That's awesome.
I always say I live in a figure eight. I live in a figure eight, head, heart, head, heart, head, heart, head, heart. I live in a figure eight, and I hold myself accountable to that. So if I hear myself going intellectual, I go, hold on, let me take a trip, let me take a trip, let me take a trip, let me take a trip. And if I feel myself living here, hold on, let me take a trip, let me take a trip, let me take a trip, let me take a trip. So I live in a figure eight so that both of these muscles are constantly being developed and never ever get into atrophy. And they understand there's a relationship between the two. So I don't make decisions without feeling what it feels like. I don't feel without logical data. And abundant thinkers make their key decisions based on logic, not emotion, based on facts, not longing. However, use feelings to help fuel the decision you made.
Mm-hmm. And I think that really helps.
Fast enough. Giovanni, you can't even write that fast enough. Good luck.
I think that also helps with uncovering some of our blind spots, right? Like you can think you're woke AF, right? And have the t-shirt to match it, but you may not necessarily realize where, you can't be blind to that which you can't see. So I love this concept of kind of checking in up and down.
Yeah.
What are some of the ways that you have found that you can, because that also requires you to trust in yourself as well, to trust that your body knows maybe before your brain does, or maybe, that your brain cannot conceive, your body can understand it. What are some of the ways that you have been able to develop trust in yourself?
Absolutely. So number one, I recognize that I have an internal GPS. I have my own God placement system, right?
Amazing.
And my internal GPS will never scream. My head screams. My internal GPS, my intuition, she whispers. She's not a screamer. And so my job is to get quiet enough to hear the whisper, to hear the pull, to hear the hold on, caution, to hear the, yes, you're nervous, but it's okay. So I always say prayer is asking the universe for what you want. Meditation and stillness is being quiet long enough to hear the daggone answer.
Yeah.
And so I constantly, because my life is busy, my momentum is busy. So I go, hold on, where's my stillness? How do I create space to sit with me and to affirm me? I affirm me constantly, not in a braggadocious way, not in an ego-based way. I affirm me. I affirm me right after a poor decision. And I got to tell you, when I make a mistake these days, it's always six figures.
Mm-hmm.
Comes with attorneys and all kinds of stuff. And I make them. But in the midst of my chaos, I'll still affirm me. And so number one, affirmation and affirming you so that you can believe. I trust my guide. I trust me. I trust my guide. I trust my decision making. And if that's not where you are, that's okay. Do the personal development to learn how to trust yourself again. I didn't always trust me. I didn't know, but my life was an evidence of why I shouldn't trust me. Jelani not having Pampers, having $11.42 in the bank, being in toxic relationships. Heck, why would I trust me? And so I had to heal, find the healing, and recognize that I could take myself as far as I had taken myself, and to go get a coach, go get help, go get someone to add to value of what I was doing and who I was becoming, and then begin to shift and then turn around and remind myself, look at where you were, look at where you are, trust yourself, sis. And so once I did that, and then I incorporated stillness, and then the last thing, and I want you to type in chat this word, I began to consciously see the evidence of my good decisions. I looked, Giovanni, for evidence. If you don't look for evidence, you won't see. I look for evidence. In a court of law, evidence will get a guilty person off. And in the court of law, evidence will set someone free. And I said, if it works in the court of law, it should work in my life. And so, Stephanie, I began to look for evidence, and I realized I was discounting the evidence. People telling me, wow, Lisa, you really made a difference in my life. I go, oh, that was nothing. I just discounted the evidence. Someone will say, Lisa, wow, you should have a speaking program. And I'm like, nah, I discounted the evidence. And it's happening all around us. People are showing us who we are. They're celebrating our greatness. I had to be willing to give myself permission to see what they saw. I see you saying I do that too. I see you, Angelique. And I have to give myself permission to say, hold on, I'm seeing evidence everywhere. Let me take in the evidence. And then I began to just sit and trust that people had no reason to lie to me, that what I felt was right. When I made a wrong decision, that I can bounce back, I can collect the lessons and move forward with the lessons now. That some of my best decisions now in business came from very big mistakes in the past where I pulled the lesson forward. So when I fail, I always fell forward. When I fell often, but I always fell forward. I fell with the goodness that I did. What did I do well? And I fell with the lessons. What lessons did I learn? And then I take on the future like ready, running, like, okay, I got some good information. It might have cost me $500,000, but I got some good information, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the knowing. You trust your intuition and that quietness in you when you know. And this is me. This is the biggest difference between, I think, me and some of my really great friends, where they started before me. I started, we started at the same time, and they're like, how did you go so far? How did you? And I said, I was willing to fail. I was willing to leap and completely fall. I was willing. You were only committed to leaping and flying.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to get that. I was okay with the fall. Why? Because, Stephanie, I trust that I can always get back up.
Mm-hmm.
I trust my get up. It's not about my fly. I trust my get up more than most. I literally don't worry about, I'm not saying I'm invincible, not at all. I'm just saying I might stagger up, Giovanni. It might take my breath away, but I never question getting back up. So what happens is, Stephanie, when you don't give yourself permission to fall because you're trying to save face, you're trying to prove, protect, hide, or defend. I'm gonna tell you right, that's one of 4 things. You're trying to prove, protect, hide, or defend. You don't want anyone to know, so you won't give yourself permission to fall. So you're trying to make sure you fly. So you're like this. Hold on. Hold on. Let me make sure it works. Hold on. I'm almost ready. And you never fully take a running leap. Even if you leap, you just kind of hop, because you want to make sure a hop doesn't fall as hard. Well, I'm willing to splat because I've seen myself splat before on the pavement and get back up. And when you don't give yourself permission to fail, you really haven't given yourself permission, Giovanni, to fly.
Wow.
That's the beauty. It's a dichotomy. It's not saying you ever plan to fail. It's just saying, if I fail, I'm okay. Because I'll get up, I'll gather my wounds, gather my lessons, and I'll run again with more information. But most people are working to prevent a failure.
Right.
And because of that, they might leap and they might soar, but they never fly. They never see it. They catch a little wind, but they don't work the wind. I work the wind, but I work the wind even if it's going down. I go, uh-oh, ruh-roh.
And I think giving yourself permission to fail, there's also an element of being able to forgive yourself as well, right? So if you fail, you're not ascribing, some emotional or some, achievement accolades, that you're a failure. You give yourself the permission to fail. And this is, I have to be in my experience, this has been the life lesson that has challenged me the most, the forgiveness of myself.
You and a lot of good people. You and a lot of really great people. You're in great company.
Yeah. Okay.
Really, I've talked to amazing people that we all admire. You're in great company.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that when we think about forgiveness, the process for me anyway, and maybe you can speak to this, but my experience around forgiveness has been messy. It's been nonlinear. It's been painfully slow at times. And I often wonder, when we think about the concept of forgiveness, so whether it's forgiving yourself for the failure, for the splat, or it's for, past traumas, emotional traumas, physical
trusting someone who betrayed you.
Exactly. Is it an instantaneous thing? Is that or is it a story that I'm telling myself that this is going to take a long time? Or is it just the onion slowly peeling off? You cry a little bit, you go back to the onion, you cry a little more. What does the process of forgiveness maybe look for you? Maybe in your experience would be useful, or what does it look like in terms of the people that you've coached?
So many people listening right now would love for me to say it's instantaneous. Like, hey,
yes.
You get it in a microwave, right?
Yeah.
Or you can Google download Forgive Me Now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The app. There's an app for that.
Right. And it's free.
Yeah.
Right. And the reality is, I'm going to, and you know me, I'm straight, no chaser. You guys know.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is an act of giving yourself permission at a whole deeper level. See, when you don't forgive you, you've only given yourself permission to win
and not fail.
And so you are holding yourself hostage to an unreal. You asked for it, okay? You're holding yourself hostage to an unrealistic expectation that sets yourself up to be disappointed with self repeatedly. You are more forgiving normally to other people than you are to yourself. It is an act of self-love or lack thereof, not total, but a portion. When I begin to love Lisa more, when I begin to hold her, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm willing to sound crazy. There's freedom in being considered crazy, by the way. When I begin to hold Lisa in a more compassionate way, I went, oh, you get to forgive them and you get to forgive you because you didn't know what you didn't know. I did this exercise. This might sound crazy, but I did this exercise because I was so mad at myself for some things. This was years ago. And I did this exercise where I visualized my 21-year-old, and at the time I was 44, I'll never forget, my 44-year-old. And I just sat and visualized them meeting. It was crazy, Giovanni. And my 21-year-old Right. My 21-year-old, 21, 22, 23, she was angry. She was angry at God because she had so much hurt from church. She was angry at her community because it just felt like it was in chaos and lack and violence. And she was angry at herself because she had made some decisions that didn't feel good in relationships. She had no money. She was just mad, but she had hope, but she didn't know how to get to her hope. And so I visualized the two of them meeting. And I let my 21-year-old, this is where the stretch comes, Stephanie. I let my 21-year-old say everything she needed to say, and I said it out loud. I hadn't used that kind of language in years because I'm evolved and I'm conscious and I'm the secret teacher and I'm transformation and I'm. And my 21-year-old is in there saying, could you please let me out? I got something to say. And as long as I'm trying to outrun her, outproduce her, outshine to the world, don't see her, I'm telling her, be quiet. Shh, I'm leaving. Be quiet. And as long as I'm shushing her, she's not going anywhere. She's underexpressed. But I don't think I could express her anymore because now I'm conscious. And conscious people don't have these thoughts. And so on this day in my bed in Redondo Beach, I gave myself the gift of a lifetime. I let her talk. And I'm going to tell you, she MF'd and AF'd and this and I just let her talk, and I let her just and cry and all the betrayal that I had experienced, all the lies, all of the times I believed in someone, all of the times someone had used me. I just let her say it. And I let her, it was like she was telling on life, right? But she was talking to my 44-year-old, and I was just standing there, just holding the space for her with no judgment. And she was going off. I mean, she was all LA. She was raw. She was raw, and she was spicy, and she was juicy, and she was delicious, and she was mad, and she was passionate. And then when she finished, I said, if I were you, I would be angry too. And I would be scared too. And I wouldn't forgive either. I wouldn't if I were you. But I'm not. I know more. I know more now. I know that holding them hostage to my anger doesn't serve them or me. I know now that a part of me is paying the price for my own resentment and anger. I know now. You don't have to know it. I literally I said, you don't have to know this, but I know now that my future will pay for my past if I let this anger come with me. I know that now. And I literally, in my visualization, I held the little Lisa's face. And I said, if you trust me, that I've learned more, that I've learned how to forgive in a way that still honors you. I've learned how to release and love in a way that still honors the dignity of you. That forgiving them doesn't pardon their behavior. It just frees you and I. And I held her face. And I said, can you let me lead? But can you always come along? I remember that day in Redondo Beach, sitting in the middle of my bed. And she has been at peace ever since. Because it's not your you now. It's the old you that's triggered. Old you. It's the old you that wasn't in control. It's the old you that felt a victim. You maybe were a victim. It's the old you that felt under-acknowledged. It's the old you that didn't have the skill set. But the old you is jumping in the now, and the you are today haven't had a completion.
Right.
I do personal development retreats, and I promise you, they're the only place that I walk people through this, because it gets funky. When I tell you, there's a room of conscious people, everybody's fussing and cussing, and it's beautiful. And you just hear everyone run out of gas, and then all of a sudden you hear this soft conversation of compassion come up when the you are today begin to talk to that you that needs that safety. It's beautiful. I don't know if you want to try this at home, but you asked, and I didn't know how to tell you intellectually. I just needed to show you, because that's what I did for me.
I love that. And I will also say that that's something that Giovanni and we are, partners in Shine together, life partners, business, and we have learned to do that with each other. When the other person is getting triggered, it's usually because there is an unresolved trauma from the past, and we need to be able to hold space for little be, little Geo, and be able to say, you're safe here. It's okay. And I just love what you're saying, because once you give that gift to yourself, I mean,
Yeah.
like I'm like shaking right now. When you give this to yourself, you have the opportunity to give that to,
Yeah.
in my case, it's going to be my, my husband, but also my children as well.
There must be something very special happening with the two of you and with your tribe, because I never, ever tell that story. That's very personal for me. That's very personal. Like that experience, I don't share
Thank you.
that often. I can hear it maybe twice in my life I've shared that story. So something stirring that's calling forth the next level of transparency, power, all of that. So I stand with the both of you with that.
Thank you. A few
Thank
days
you,
ago,
Lisa.
I shared with Stephanie, I had a visualization where, in terms of getting to my own power, I was holding myself as a baby, comforting myself with respect to abandonment issues, and putting my little Johnny, because as a kid people call me Johnny, putting little Johnny into a crib, and then visualizing, and I'm a superhero nerd, so visualizing all of the Avengers surrounding the crib, protecting little Johnny, and now he's safe, and my job is to keep little Johnny safe. And when little Johnny feels safe, big Giovanni is the most powerful he can be.
Yeah.
And it was just such a cool, and I was sharing with
So
Stephanie.
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
We're on the same path. I never know how it's going to sound, because it's kind of like, oh, yeah. No, I'm right at home. I'm with my sister and my brother.
Thank you so much. If there's, I am so excited to have you. I don't know when we're going to be releasing this podcast, but you are going to be coming to Archangel in October. What can people look forward to? I know you, like I said, you are the GOAT. You are the greatest of all time in terms of.
I've never heard that before. That is so crazy to hear. I'm blushing, but you can't tell.
I feel it. I can feel it.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn a deep dark burgundy, I guess.
What can our attendees look forward to in terms of, I know that you are so giving and you're so open. Maybe you can give us a little taste of the brilliance that is Lisa Nichols on stage.
I am coming for your breakthrough. I'm coming for nothing else. I'm coming for your breakthrough. I'm not an entertainer, though I will be entertaining probably. I'm coming for your breakthrough. So come in the room expecting, I want my breakthrough. Come open, come ready, come willing and open to have some disruption, because I'm going to come till the soil. I'm going to till the soil of your thinking, till the soil of your belief system, till the soil of your behaviors. And then together we'll plant new seeds. And when we plant new seeds, then in the subsequent weeks and months, a new harvest will grow. I'm coming to till the soil. I'm coming, you come empty, I'll come full, and I'll pour everything I have into you in the time that we have together. I'm coming to break a chain of a belief system. I'm coming to connect a chain of new possibility. I'm coming so you can see right around that corner what was normally in the shade. I'm coming to shed light on it. I'm coming to turn the light. You see the light? I'm coming to turn the light on. I'm coming for that. And I don't say that like I'm a real superhero, but I know my assignment. I know my assignment. So you come ready, come hydrated, like Giovanni's doing. Stephanie and I were slacking. We need to drink something. We need to drink. Come hydrated, get your sleep. Take your B12 sublingual under the tongue. You don't have time for a tablet to dissolve. Come ready. Like I literally, and I'm a workhorse. You guys know I'm a stallion. I'm an Arabian. I come ready. So morning, noon, night, I'm ready. Long haul. It is not a sprint. We will have a marathon together. And so expect something to be accessed and awakened that you hadn't even felt yet. Come in the room expecting to feel this sense of tingle. And I can't tell you what that tingle, where it will take you. I'm just saying it's going to start in that room and it gets to carry you to wherever it is you set your GPS to. And it will be the beginning of something. And I don't come looking for short-term relationships. I'm a long-term relationship kind of girl. And so we will all find ways. I want to stay connected to the tribe. I'm very selective on where I go and play, and I always say, direct my path, and you'll direct my path for relationships. And so come expecting a breakthrough. That's all I can say. Expect a breakthrough. And you know where you need your breakthrough. If it's in your marriage, if it's in your relationship with your children, if it's in your relationship to money, if it's in your relationship to you and money, if it's in your relationship to your health and wellness, if it's in your relationship to your dream, to you being able to impact millions, you decide where you need a breakthrough. And I'm going to bring the breakthrough. You just got to come ready to get it. So there.
So good. So we're gonna.
Lisa, I just have to thank you. This has been such an incredible hour of gold bomb, truth bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb. You really bring it. Like you are so real. I'm blown away by your presence, and it's so clear that you have done the work. Thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. My grandmother always said that people select you. And when they select you to speak to their community, they're putting a trust in you. They're putting an immense trust in you. And so I never assumed that you didn't have plenty of options. And I'm always grateful when I'm chosen. And I'm always mindful of being a good steward with the message. So thanks to both of you.
Thank you. So we will now jump into Q&A. For everyone live on the call, type your questions in the chat. Stephanie and I will sort through them and ask on your behalf. I'll ask the first one. I have so many, but I'll save some of them. What I'm curious about, and the thing I'm passionate about, is building tribe and building community. And our community is an amazing family. What does community mean to you? And the reason I asked this, our good friend Todd Herman, in a conversation recently, said something that blew me away. And he said that the biggest challenge with personal growth and self-development are the words personal and self. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. You have to have a community around you. You have to have people supporting your growth. So what does community mean for you?
In the words of my niece, everything. Community for me means a safe space. And I define what a safe space is. A safe space is a space, three things that makes a safe space. A space free of judgment. And whenever we get our community together, we all make the agreement as a community. A safe space means it's free of judgment. So I won't judge anyone else and I won't judge myself. It means there's no repercussions. It means my truth won't come back to haunt me later. It'll only come back to support me. And it means unconditional love, which isn't the rah-rah love. The unconditional love means love me when I'm in my righteousness. Love me when I'm being stubborn. Love me when I have the unnecessary need to get the last word. Unconditional love for me means love me when I'm stuck. And so community for me is the space where I can have those three agreements intact. And community is a space that will hold me accountable to the woman I'm becoming and won't ever forget where I came from. They won't live in my now like I was never back there. And they won't let me live in my now like I don't have to go there. That community is aware and conscious of all three paradigms and that they all have to exist in the present tense. Community is a space where I can take my cape off and I can wash the S off my chest and they know that it was made in Crayola. And that same community the next day will help me put my cape back on and hand me the Crayola to put the S back on my chest. Community for me is a group of individuals, like-minded gladiators and unicorns, who don't fit anywhere because they fit everywhere. And they allow me to be afraid and require me to keep standing. And they allow me to be brilliant and not have to dim my light in their presence. That's community for me.
So good.
Angelique. And I
Angelique,
literally have never thought about that before. I was just answering you.
It's beautiful. Angelique is asking, and let me just, do you have any particular routine to recommend or a place to start when it comes to building your visualization practice?
Yes, Angelique, you've been chatting it up in chat a lot. Thank you so much for your contribution, sister. So visualization to me comes from a clear space. So first, Angelique, I'm going to give you an exercise to clear your space. Okay. And it really is, it settles the background noise. We have a lot of background noise, but it's so low, we don't know that it's there. It's like the elevator music when you get in the elevator. You don't even know that it's on because it's the background. It's like the paint on the wall behind me. You don't notice it because you're looking at the sign or the picture, but the paint influences the color of the wall. That's our background chatter. So I'm going to give you an exercise really fast. It's a mirror exercise. And it's to get in the mirror and say your name, Angelique, and everyone else. I recommend you all do this. And to complete 3 different sentences, and complete 3 different sentences with 7 different endings. 3 sentences with 7 endings. The first sentence, you look at yourself in the mirror, and you look at yourself as if you were your best friend, because you look at your best friend kinder at times than you look at yourself, and you say your name. Angelique, I'm proud that you. I would say my name, Lisa, I'm proud that you. And you give 7 different endings. Lisa, I'm proud that you got up at 5 a.m. this morning because that was your goal. Lisa, I'm proud that you stopped being in an unhealthy relationship 22 years ago. I'm proud that you was honest enough that you need help around your health and wellness. Lisa, I'm proud that you had the courage to write a book even though you got to fail in English the last time you took English. Lisa, I'm proud that you're not an accidental good mom. You're a good mom with intention. And so what are 7 different things that you can celebrate yourself for, Angelique? That's number 1. 7 different things, because we go under celebrated. Number 2, say your name. This is the hard one. It'll feel like a gut punch. You probably won't like me for a half a second when you're doing this one, but it's necessary. Say your name, Angelique. I forgive you for. And cut the shackles to shame, blame, guilt, and regret. I always tell people when you do this, the first 3 days that you do it, go back past 20 years. You have no idea how much you're still carrying. And so it looks like this. Lisa, I forgive you for letting your body get 88 pounds overweight. Lisa, I forgive you for lowering your bar because you were so lonely that you dated in relationships that didn't deserve you. Lisa, I forgive you for spending money irresponsibly because you didn't know how to have a lot of money. So you gave it all away and spent it fast. So it's very real things. And I don't ever use hypothetical examples because I'm a work in progress. So I'm going to use my real stuff. And so you do 7 different endings of what you forgive yourself for. And by doing that, you're now cutting the shackles. And then the last sentence, Angelique, to clear the space so that you can visualize with more grace and ease and you don't have the noise. Notice visualization requires you to be still and to think, but there's so much noise there that you can't get the visualization through. First, quiet the noise. The last sentence, Angelique, that you would say your name and say, I commit to you that. So it'll be Lisa, I commit to you that. Today, I'll say yes only when I want to say yes, and I'll say no when I need to say no. Lisa, I commit to you that today, I'll find 10 minutes of quiet time, regardless of how many appointments I have on my calendar. Lisa, I commit to you that I'll go to bed earlier tonight. And so by doing that, 7 different endings, now you have 3 sentences. I'm proud that you, I forgive you for, I commit to you that. When you give 7 different endings to these 3 sentences, you start it and you do it right after you brush your teeth, before you go off into your day. By doing that, before you start your day, you've celebrated you, you've cut the shackles to blame, shame, guilt, and regret from you, and you've made a commitment to you, multiple. And by doing that, you're now standing on your you more powerfully. Now, when you do that, Now you can go in to do guided visualizations. And for me, guided visualizations, I write a date. It's out 3 to 5 years. I write it down boldly and I focus on that date. And then I use that date to draw me to it. What do you want to have in place? I break up my life in 4 different categories. What do you want your finances to look like? What do you want your relationship to look like? What do you want your health and wellness and your self-esteem to look like? And what do you want your spiritual journey to look like? So that nothing gets lost. And most of the time in my visualizations, I'm only focused on one area because there's so much that I want in each one. It's not that I want a lot in each one, but I want to visualize in color. I want to visualize in feelings. So that's what I do.
Brilliant. Chantal is asking, with respect to inner work, did you have many coaches, mentors, and spiritual teachers, or did you rely on your GPS to realize and manifest your dreams?
I had coaches and teachers. I call myself an eclectic piece of work. I'm a mutt. So, I mean, I had a lot of people that's pouring into me. None are superstars or in the world sense. They're superstars in my life. None are published authors. None are public figures. They're grandmotherly prayer warriors. They're wise, young, 33-year-old brilliant men who just gave me a view at life. One of the people that I quote the most that really gave me some powerful life lessons that I live by now, I call him Seat 2A. I was on a flight from New York to LA and God put the right person next to me. And he poured wisdom in my life that I didn't even need at the time. But as my grandmother says, baby, you might want to put this in your back pocket and walk with it. And I was wise enough to put his wisdom in my back pocket. And 2 years later, I was frauded by a consultant and devastated. And I'd be doggone if I didn't have something in my back pocket to help me get through it. And so a lot of my mentors as well, I haven't met, meaning they mentor me from their books. I've read repeatedly on Mahatma Gandhi. I've read on Mother Teresa. I've read on Nelson Mandela. And I've read unpublished work from Dr. Martin Luther King. One of his key pieces that inspires me the most was when he wanted to quit. He only had one child at this time, not his 4 children. And he wrote a letter asking God, can he quit? And in that letter was everything that I felt. Afraid as a mom, afraid as a daughter. He was afraid as a son, and he talked about being afraid. He talked about his parents being afraid. He talked about not wanting to be taken away from his wife and his one child. He talked about, God, can I stop? He asked, can I give up? And then he went on to say, I'm afraid, though, if I stop, the people will stop. If I stop believing, the people will stop running. Can I slide? Can I get out of this charge? Can I sit down this mantle? Is it possible that I can give up and I can stop? And they still go on. And then he says how he heard the voice of God saying, go on, Martin. Martin, go on. Martin, you have what you need. Martin, I know you're tired and I know you're weary, but this is your assignment. And I'm blown away that he only had one child. And when he was assassinated, he had 4 children. So he lived all that time in his conviction, not his convenience. And you hear that message from DC about one day little black girls and little black boys and little white boys and little white girls can play together, and you act as if it was just all, he was cool with it and he was excited about it. And then I read this letter to go, this dude was struggling. Like, this wasn't Martin Luther King. This was Martin, someone's husband, someone's father, someone's son. And so I read the unpublished work. I went to Nelson Mandela's museum and they closed it down so I can walk through, and I sat on the floor of his office, his real office. I sat on the floor And then I just said, let me absorb his level of forgiveness and consciousness. I want to absorb it. I sat in Nelson Mandela's jail cell for 8.5 hours. Sat in his jail cell looking down at it looked like a vase, a flower vase, but that was his toilet. He walked around with this vase, and that's where he went to restroom in. I looked up at the window that didn't have glass on it to know how cold he was in the winter because it didn't have glass on it. So I can embody his forgiveness. When I left his jail cell, I've never lost my voice in 20 years of speaking. I lost my voice for 7 days. And when my voice came back, get this, the first project I did when my voice came back was The Secret.
Wow. Wow.
So I have a lot of mentors. Some know that they're my mentors. Some, I think, just lived a life worth being a mentor.
Okay. Barbara is asking, I found that life has had many beginnings and endings. I'm in my 6th decade. What treasures do you have on how to integrate these transitions to continue living fully?
Barbara, I feel like we have seasons. We have a season for learning, a season for earning, and a season for sharing what we've learned and earned. And it's not always defined by age. I'm already in my season of sharing what I've learned and earned. You might be in your season where it's your wisdom. It's your wisdom and your patience. My grandmother said to me when I was 24, apparently I was, as she calls it, smelling myself. I was beside myself, apparently. And she said this statement, which I really didn't get then, but I did what she said, and I walk with it, put it in my back pocket and walk with it. She said, sweetheart, you can get all the knowledge you aspire to get through those books and those courses. You can get all the knowledge you can, but you will never have my wisdom, my 55 years older than you wisdom. And I didn't understand it at the time, but then I learned. I lived long enough. And Barbara, you not only have knowledge, but you have wisdom. And there's someone seeking exactly what you have. There's someone trying to learn what you're trying to forget. Get into the IP conversation, your intellectual property. You hug different than a 25-year-old. You listen different than a 38-year-old. You breathe differently than a 45-year-old. Teach us, learn us, pour into us. And if it should find its way to being a business, then let it be a business. But if not, do it anyway.
Wonderful. Wow.
Wow.
Michelle is asking, let me read it first and then maybe I'll alter it a bit, but your mission seems to serve all. Do you niche or niche? Why or why not? And maybe it's around, is there a specific avatar of who you love to serve?
Yeah. So I used to say, I don't belong to women. I don't belong to Black people, and I don't belong to Christians because I grew up Christian. I'm a woman and I'm Black. And I used to say, I don't belong to them. I belong to humanity. That's who I belong to. I was very clear. I heard when I was 32 in my prayer, I said, help heal my children. And I thought it was the Black children of LA. And so I started doing that. And then I kept hearing, I said, help heal my children. And so I started working everyone in California. And I wouldn't work with men. I didn't necessarily work out of my nationality. And I couldn't find peace because my calling was to serve humanity. And when I started serving humanity, I went, oh, okay, now I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And so, yes, my calling is to serve humanity. And that's my tribe. And so I have two things. I work with my tribe and I work with my niche, right? So my tribe gets my my healing. My tribe gets my perseverance work, determination, no matter what, non-negotiable. This is how you do it. My niche, they're entrepreneurs and they're building a business on their brand. They're learning how to speak, write. They're learning how to turn their IP into a viable system so that people can get value from what they know. I'm very clear on my niche. So my tribe, they sign up for my YouTubes and they come to my mega conference that I do twice a year. My niche, they come to my masterminds and my retreats.
Brilliant. Love that. Pam is asking if there's a daily habit that you would suggest to anyone ready for transformation, both in life or in business.
Pam, the exercise I just told you, the mirror exercise, don't sleep on it, sis. My recommendation is that you do it for 28 days. I did it for 6 months. I did it for 6 months because I needed a breakthrough. I needed a breakthrough. And you guys hear my neighbor's dogs? They're having a party. Absolutely quiet before you guys called. I love it. I don't know what's going on. But I needed a breakthrough in my life. I was diagnosed as clinically depressed. I had just gotten myself out of a significantly abusive relationship. And I didn't know that it had become abusive. It was an emotionally abusive, turned physically abusive. I didn't see the abuse until it was right in my face, physically in my face. And so I had a lot of guilt, to your point, Stephanie. I was beating me up because my son was 3 years old and I felt like I'd endangered my child. And so I had a lot of guilt. I had a lot of anger. I had a lot of resentment. I had a lot of fear. I had a lot of everything. And for the first time, I saw my name on a piece of paper with Prozac. And my doctor said, you are clinically depressed. And it was like Charlie Brown's parents start talking. Wah, 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 wah. I was like, did she say, who's she talking? How can she say clinically depressed and Prozac and I'm the only one in the room? Like it, I promise you, it was like a movie. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Why is she saying that and I'm in the room? And there's no one else in the room. I just literally could not fathom. I was already speaking. I was doing very well as an inspirational speaker. And those two did not match. I'm sorry, you cannot tell me. And the reality was I was clinically depressed. And I asked her, could I try something before I take the Prozac? I'm not inviting you to do anything other than take your medication or consult with your physician. But I did ask her and she gave me the okay. And I did the exercise, Pam, that was Pam, right, Giovanni?
Yep.
I did the exercise, Pam, that I just mentioned to Angelique. I did that exercise because I was fighting for my life back. I had forgotten who I was and I needed to be reminded who I was. I had forgotten what good I'd done in the world. I had forgotten what I get to release and forgive myself for. I had forgotten to make commitments to myself. I had just become Jelani's mom. I had just become his fiance. That's all I was his fiance, Jelani's mom, a change agent, a community advocate, and a daughter. I lost Lisa. And so that exercise I just gave you is everything. And I would say do that first before you do anything else, Pam. And the second thing that I would recommend that you do, and this may seem smaller, but it's not. I recommend you research affirmations that feel really good to you. And I recommend you research affirmations that talk about money, that talk about relationship, that talk about self-esteem, those three things. And you rewrite them down on stickies like this. I keep them with me everywhere. You rewrite them on stickies like this and you write your name in it or you write I. And you own the affirmation. Don't read the affirmation, own the affirmation. Earlier, I talked about cellular learning, right? The affirmations can literally change your cellular makeup when you adopt them, but it'll take a while. So all of the affirmations around your beauty and your self-esteem, put on the bathroom mirror. All of the affirmations around your body and the life you get to live, put on the refrigerator. All your affirmations around love and what you get to experience in love, put on the back of your bedroom door and on your headboard if you can. And all the affirmations around what you get to do in the world, put on the back of the front door so you can see before you leave. And every single day, do your rounds.
So good. Okay, so last question.
I love Stephanie. You just keep doing this.
I'm like, wow.
You're so cute. I love you.
I love her too.
She's so cute. I love watching you after. She's so adorable.
I look forward to getting the transcript of this entire conversation because I've lost count, but you've used the word dream at least 20 times. It's my favorite word. Growing up, I was told to stop dreaming. That was the phrase I kept hearing. And then, 5 years ago, discovering dreaming is my superpower. And this year, like every year we have a theme for our company. And this year, the word, I don't know if you can see this, is dreamer.
I saw that. When I read everything on this to prepare for this interview, it just said dreamer. And it was just there by itself. I was like, look, I didn't know what it meant. I went, I like. I was like, I like.
So my question to you is, and even mentioning Martin Luther King, what is Lisa's dream now? If you had to give an I have a dream speech, what would that speech be?
Don't you dare do that to me. I'm not going to, I have something for you now. I'm not going to give it to you now. I'm going to give it to you when I get there.
Yes, please.
I have something for you. Yeah, gosh. God, divine appointments are so sacred.
Well, maybe we'll leave it as a cliffhanger. You have to be there October 19th.
I have something. I have something. Like, I created it. Didn't know what I'd do with it, but now I know why I was created. My dream. And let me tell you what I'm doing right now. In my silence, I'm giving myself permission to feel it. I'm giving myself permission right now to want it. Because a good dream, you almost don't know yet how you're going to get to it. A good dream. When you stop dreaming safe and you start just dreaming with the passion, you go further than you even know how to navigate yourself to, and then you got to back into the plan. That's why people stop. They hold off because they want to only dream as far as they know they can get right now. Mm-hmm. Right? You get that?
Yes.
And so my hesitance, my quiet is going, hold on. I want to go all the way there. My dream is that in the lifetime beyond me, it might not be me. And to me, a true dream I've learned from Martin, Dr. King, to respect him, that a true dream could be a dream you have and you're okay not seeing it. You still have it. That in the lifetime after me, that we respect our differences, but we expand our likeness. We are different. We are different. So I don't do the whole we're not different. No, we are. We are. And that's where we get to play. I get to share with you what I ate as a kid. Our differences aren't bad. They're different. I get to share with you what I need on my hair. What I need on my hair and what Stephanie needs on her hair are totally different. And why would I keep it to myself and not let you know that, let me show you what I use. It's fascinating that in the lifetime right past me, in our children's lifetime, that we sit in circles of differences and we talk about it and we love it and we celebrate and we get the funky out the way. We get the funky out the way. That we finally can speak our truth. And my truth doesn't diminish your truth as a Black woman, as a woman. That we can cross cultural lines, we can cross religious lines, we can dissipate economic lines. It still exists. It exists, it's real, it's so. There are rich and there are poor. There is black and there is white. But in the lifetime past me, we allow it to exist, but not divide. In my dream is that we collectively fuel our voice and our money. Like we really collectively fuel our voice and our money. And we end hunger. We don't throw away tons of food at a hotel. We don't. We find a way. We just find a way. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care. We find a way. And across 15 hotels and across a few people who make enough to give $100 that we pull collectively, and we end it. We don't talk about it. We don't look at it. We don't point at it. We don't wish. We end it. That little girls in Africa, that they can go to school after they've started their menstrual cycle, because that we give them what they need to go to school. Like, they don't stop going to school when they're becoming a woman. They get to stay at school after school when they're becoming a woman. Like Giovanni, I am an activist. I'm a social change agent. I'm a social change agent. I could spend the next 40 years of my life going and helping causes. That's it. I position myself to make a lot of money so I can make a big difference. And I can have some influence to ask my friends to do the same. So you're talking to a dreamer. You know, you're talking to a dreamer, and I'm okay. Dr. King has shown us. Dr. King has shown us it's my job to start it. It's my job to continue it, or it's my job to wrap that baby up and put a bow on it and make it happen. And I'm okay with either part of that assignment. Do I start it? Do I continue? Do I complete it? What's my assignment? I don't have to be the namesake in it. You don't have to put my name on it. I don't need a monument. All I want to know is that on my tombstone, it gets to say, whether it figuratively says it or metaphorically says it, here lies a woman who made her dash dance. Here lies a woman who was responsible for her breath. Here lies a woman who inspired us to love the perceivingly unlovable, forgive the perceivingly unforgivable, and do the perceivingly unimaginable. Here lies a woman who made her life matter. And because she was here, this world is a better place. They don't even have to put my name on my tomb. Boom. I'm serious. They don't have to put my name on it. Just put what I gave. And all I want to do is earn the right to say something good. That's all I want to do, Stephanie, is earn the right to say something good. I'm writing my obituary now. I'm writing my eulogy now. Live like you're writing your eulogy. Shh.
We share that philosophy. We do that all the time. We've actually written our
We've written and rewritten our obituaries and what we want people to say.
My kind of people. Yeah.
I love it. We want to reframe the word dreamer to be a good thing and not to mean someone, like not to have a negative, especially for children. And I want to reframe the word millionaire to mean someone who serves 1 million people. Like, it's totally cool to make a ton of money as long as you're making the bigger difference.
Absolutely. What are you doing with it? You should be embarrassed if you have it and there's no significant difference in the world as a result of you having it. Like, you shouldn't tell anybody.
Exactly.
You should keep that a secret if you're not doing anything with it. Absolutely. I love you guys.
We love you too.
We love you. We love you.
I love you. I get why we're coming together. And OMG, what happens after this?
Exactly.
I think these are the moments like this, when today happens and when October happens. I think the change agents and the gladiators and the angels on earth and otherwise, I think they sit back and they toast each other. They go, they connected. Today is the day when they touch. Like I just believe those who've gone before us and who are holding the space for us. They say today they're gonna touch. Now watch what happens. Watch them get excited. I feel like those are the appointments that I've had in my life.
Thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome. I'm honored. I'm honored. I don't take it for granted at all. And I'm grateful.
Um, I can't wait to end this so I can watch it again. The second we hang up,
There's that 15-second loop that we got to go back to and over and over and over again. I mean, not just the 50, like the entire, you are so generous with your wisdom. You are so generous with your experiences and your time. Thank you so much.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I received that. I used to question if I was a right fit for this work. I questioned if I could give the world contribution. And the best gift I gave myself was when people would say things like that, Stephanie, to me. What you said, Giovanni. The best gift I gave myself is I began to hear them and receive them. And so I say I receive that. I won't say thank you because thank you used to be my deflection word.
Right.
So now I say I receive that to let it in. And I'm honored. I'm honored to be on the planet at the same time as the two of you, and as each one of you who are with us live and via recording. I'm grateful to be on this planet at the same time. There's a reason why. I could have come before or you could have come after, but we're here together. And that's exciting to discover.
It is. I never want this to end, this conversation.
I know.
let's end it here, and we will see you in a few months in Toronto.
I'm looking forward to it. Be well.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone who joined us. Amazing.
Bye-bye.
Have a wonderful evening.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye to everyone in chat. Everyone is here. Thank you guys for your time.